Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I'm Peter Gross, co-host of the original Wild Kingdom with Marlin Perkins and Jim Fowler. In the early days of filming wildlife, as you'll see tonight, researchers had to capture animals in order to observe and learn from them. But that's no longer the case today. Modern technology such as drones and satellite tracking offer new ways to study animals in their natural habitat with less intrusion from human touch. Wild Kingdom set the gold standard for nature programming and introduced generations of young people to the wonders of the natural world. Fortunately, the successful research that began with our original series helped many animals make a comeback from the threat of extinction. And that's good news for the Wild Kingdom. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom is presented by Mutual of Omaha, the people who pay.
Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Jim Fowler went to Condor country in South America to search for this remarkable bird.
Just look how large it is, WK.
This life-size silhouette will give you an idea of its enormity. A wingspan of 10 feet or more. These huge wings carry it as high as 16,000 feet above sea level, which makes it difficult to learn about the condor's travels and habits. That's why the Explorers Research Corporation sponsored an expedition to study these birds and placed Jim Fowler in charge of it.
The plan was to try a new tracking technique. Let me have that, WK. This tiny piece of equipment is what made it all possible. It's a battery-powered radio transmitter, and it's light enough to be carried by a condor in flight. Let's give it a test, WK. It's over here. You put that on now. That's not quite right, WK. There you go. Wherever the condor goes, this transmitter sends back a signal that can be picked up by a receiver like this. Do you hear anything, WK? This way, you don't actually have to see the bird to track its movements.
Of course, the big problem was to catch the condors. Jim searched for them in Peru, where he set up camp in the coastal desert between the Andes Mountains and the sea.
This is the land of the condor, a brutal, barren wilderness. Our trap site's an easy trip from camp on the trail bike, even in this dead country. There's only one source of life here, the sea. Along this coast flows the Humboldt Current, swarming with fish, bringing millions of seabirds, royal terns, not far from this beach live thousands of sea lions and dolphins. Those that die wash ashore, and that's what brings the condors. They're carrion eaters, and they patrol this beach daily. Today, they're out early. The biggest bird that flies, the Andean condor. It's a great sight, gliding on those huge wings, solitary and unapproachable. Catching one is a real challenge. I'll set our trap just up the beach. Good, he's leaving. I don't want to be seen setting up the trap. We'll try for our condor here. There's the other half of my team. Dr. J. Schnell, a zoologist. We're building a blind near the spot where a dolphin carcass washed ashore. Jay saw a condor on it yesterday. If he comes back, we'll be ready. We'll use the bow net to catch the condors when they're most vulnerable, when they're on the ground feeding. While I set the net, Jay puts the finishing touches on the blind. This is our first capture attempt since we got here. We're trying a new system. I designed this net specially for condors. The mesh is tough nylon, and the aluminum frame is spring-loaded. The net will snap back over the bird when I pull the trigger string. Pulling out the forked stick will release the net. I can trip it from the blind, but it's not ready yet. Both the net and the blind must be carefully disguised. Seaweed should help hide the net. A condor's eyes are extremely sharp. They know this area well. The slightest indication that something's different will make them suspicious. That should do it. Now for the bait. This dolphin was washed ashore yesterday. Everything looks perfectly natural. We'll see if the condor thinks so too. The blind's ready, and Jay's done a good job. It's a tight squeeze, only big enough for one person, but I'll be well hidden. Now to cover the entrance. Jay will leave. Any condor that may have seen us should now think all is clear. There's nothing to do but wait and watch. Nothing in sight but the turns back up the beach. We're getting action. Not a condor, but a turkey vulture, looking over the bait. There's another. They're coming in. Still nothing but vultures. There, circling above, a condor. He's giving the carcass a real careful look, but he's not satisfied. He's moving off. Good. He's landing on the cliff. That wing spread must be 10 feet or more. He's watching. He seems to be waiting till the vultures have proven that all is safe. He's coming down. He's taking the bait. Now, if he'll move closer to the net. The vultures are all leaving. I can only wait. If he steps within the net's range, we should have our first condor.
The condor was busy with the porpoise carcass and hadn't spotted Jim's blind. Now it was time for Jim to spring the trap.
He's still too far to one side. I've got to wait until he's right in the middle of the trap. Timing is everything now. He's moving closer. Looks good. No, I've got to wait until his head's down, or he'll be too quick for the trap. Now. The Condor's weapon is his beak. It's tremendously strong and sharp as a pair of shears. He can take off part of my hand with one bite. I've got to grab that neck. He's too fast. I can't get hold of it. The burlap sack will help. With that long neck, he can turn and bite in any direction. It's like trying to hold a snake. If I can work him into the sack, I'll have him. That's it. He'll be easy to handle now, as long as I stay away from that beak. He's going back to camp. Marlin should be joining us there soon.
This is one of the most desolate places I've ever seen. We're getting close to Jim's camp. It's near that point of land ahead.
Jay and I have attached a small transmitter to the Condor. Jay's an expert at radio tracking. He'll operate a remote receiving station when the bird is released later. Whoops, I'd better watch my step. The Condor seems calmer now, but he's really still confused. Instinctively, he chooses a high perch. Jay will be at the station soon. Here's Marlin.
Looks like Jim's already had some good luck. This is one of the receivers that will pick up the signals from the tiny transmitters the birds will carry. It's an ingenious system, and now I'll get a chance to see how it works. Sitting on a perch, he looks tremendous, especially with those wings stretched out. The transmitter's been placed where it won't interfere with the bird's flight. It's amazing how quickly these birds calm down. This is a male. You can tell by the crest on its head. Condors are getting rare, and the more we learn about them, the better we can protect them. That transmitter is much too tough for him to bite through. After a while, he'll forget it's there. Once Jim releases the bird, the antenna along his back will send out a strong signal. The battery should last 2 months, enough time to gather plenty of data. The hood will quiet the bird when Jim carries it. The mobile receiver is ready, and Jim decides to release the Condor. Takeoff is no simple matter for a Condor. It's so heavy, it has to get up flying speed, like an airplane. I'll keep it in sight while Jim checks the receiver. Now to pick up the signal. Jim wants to track him by sight as long as we can. He's got a head start, but we should make good time on the bikes. He's swinging out over the water. We can't follow any farther.
He seems headed for some cliffs up the coast. Now the radio equipment takes over. We've got one transmitting Condor. It's time we tried for another.
As we searched for more condors along the coastal cliffs, the helicopter proved an invaluable aid. These are the foothills of the Andes Mountains. We're passing over the coast where the big birds feed. There, just below, condors. We're nearing a cliff where we sighted a condor roosting in that vertical crevice. It's time to contact Jim on the cliff. He thinks he can catch it. The bird's still there, so it's up to Jim.
Catching a condor this way won't be easy. In order to reach it, I'll have to climb down to it. It has to be a quick descent. Luckily, the cliff face curves away below me. My rope's well anchored, and with this rig, I can slide down quietly. Here's the crevice. There's the bird. It didn't see me. The idea is to surprise it and grab for the legs fast. It's a female, not as big as a male, but full of fight. There's only one way to go with this load, down. With my rig, I can control the rope with one hand. That's that. Now to get unhitched. The bird seems in better shape than I am. Her red eye and lack of that distinctive crest, along with her smaller size, mark her as a female. Now to put the transmitter on her. This is one job where you really need an extra hand or two. I've got to hang on to that beak or she'll use it. I won't need my climbing glove anymore. This gunny sack will help quiet her if I can work it over her head. She can't see now, and that calms her down. Now to get the transmitter on. This loop harness acts as an additional antenna. With the whip antenna, it sends out a powerful signal with a range of 15 miles or more. Let's see if she's broadcasting. Every bird has its own channel, and each receiver can monitor 10 channels. Perfect. Now for the tag. Captured birds all get a numbered tag. If they're recaptured or found dead later, the tags will identify them and tell us a little more about their travels and lifespan. Now the final step, to put a bright dye on one wing. Hey, stay in there. Every bird gets a different color. We'll be able to identify them visually, even after the transmitter batteries wear out. That does it. It's time to let her go. Takeoff will be easier from this high ridge. She's flying beautifully. Our second bird wired for sound in the land of the Condor.
Jim, let's move the bird a little toward you. The condor is a most formidable bird, but like all birds, when he's threatened, he flies off. Nature has given each of her animals a special means of protecting itself.
And now we're going to track your movements, WK.
I don't think he'll get very far. Jim was able to trap several more condors with his bow net, and we tracked the birds till the batteries in their tiny transmitters finally gave out. Then, once more, the soaring condors were in their own unapproachable world. But the data Jim collected, once it is studied and analyzed, may shed some light on the lives of these great birds. Like most wildlife field work, the job is difficult and sometimes dangerous. But for the dedicated people of the Explorers Research Corporation, who accept the hazards and hardships of the world's wild places, nothing can equal the thrill of live capture and the challenge of unlocking the great mysteries of the wild kingdom.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Like what you saw? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more exclusive content. And visit our website at wildkingdom.com.